Oh, please connect. All right. Let me make sure this. It didn't say. Oh, poop. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Simply Live with me, SimplyLesa. I was going to use my headset, but I think it's not charged enough. I thought it was, but sometimes because it's Bluetooth, it connects when I'm not paying attention. And I didn't double check. So the wind sometimes kicks up where I'm at. So I'll do my best to talk to you where you can hear me. And so, good morning, everybody who's here. I saw that Brooke is out here, Miss Betty Joe. And who else is here? Mary. Good morning, Mary. Whoops, my finger in front of the camera. Oh, and Betty Joe, and other people, I so understand when y'all lose signal. Um, you are aware you can go back and, hold on a second. I'm going to answer this call. This is weird. Oops, sorry about that, guys. But that particular person doesn't call me very often. So let me make sure my sound is the phone won't ring on us. Okay, there we go. Okay. Wow, my details this morning, huh? I thought I was doing a good job getting ready. Good morning, Beth. And I can't tell if there was somebody else that came in just then because I can't seem to scroll that. Not horrible. Let's put this where I'll find it again. With the little tripod. Remember the other day I was hunting for my little tripod? It was this one. It's called an Ultra Pod, and it's made for backpacking because you can actually use the Velcro to put it on the strap of your backpack. And I couldn't find it anywhere, so I finally found it. Hey, George and Tammy. Life after stroke with Tom. Well, hi, Tom. How are you? Welcome. So, this Sunday, what I want to do is I want to walk you around both my camp and my rig. Hi, Brian. Thank you for being here. I'm so sorry that I couldn't talk to you on the phone just then, but you and I can talk later. Wonderful. So I'm finishing up the last of my. Okay, I had 2 cups of caffeinated coffee this morning between 5 and 8. And then I made 1 cup of decaf and I put goat's milk in it. The cup's nasty, but there is 1 sip left. And I'm going to have that while we're chit chatting and going through the details this morning in the housekeeping. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit the little bell notification so you know when I'm putting out videos. Um, please, also, if you feel like it, I would love to have you become members. Members get a little bit more personal information from me during the week. Um, Sometimes, like this week, it's just a guys, will you pray for me? I'm nervous about something, but this is what's happening and whatever. And you also get these cool little badges beside your name in the chat. If you want to ask me a question, and please ask questions, I love to help you, but I don't think like you guys. So I need you to tell me what you want to know about. Good morning, Shadow Wolf. I have started to play with the GoPro, but not enough to post anything that I've used that for, Shadow Wolf. So just know that. Um, yeah, thumbs up. Thank you, Beth. Um, if you would like me to answer your question, and please ask them, put 3 uppercase Q's in front of your question so that I'll talk about it. So I notice it quickly if I'm, in the middle of talking about something. Um, I am feeling so much better this morning. I've had a stressful week, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Oh, hey, Catherine, how's Homer doing? And and that little dog of yours, the the princess dog. Okay, that's the end of that coffee. By the way, no, Sea Summit does not. Jeremy, I'm going to tell you about the tracker. Hi, Jeremy. Thank you for being here. I'm going to tell you, Jeremy, about what's happening with the tracker. I had a problem with it this week. So, um, this cup is from Sea Summit, and it's made with the bumps on it and with thicker silicone than the like Ozark Trails ones from Walmart, the little red ones. And so you can actually hold hot coffee in this one or hot stuff in this one. I really like this because, of course, now it's dirty, so I don't want to get too dirty, but it folds up by squishing it. Okay. And fantastic. I wonder if Rick and Candy from New Mexico are going to come out. I wonder how their dog is doing. One of their dogs, the one that was a puppy, I can't think of her name right quick, but one of their dogs, the one that was a puppy when I was stuck there last fall, got bit by a rattlesnake trying to protect Candy. And I'd love to know how her dog is. Stick that on your prayer list if you guys are doing that. CSEA 2 Summit. And at the Overland Expos, the expo price was $11.99 or something, but the regular price is closer to 16 or 17, depending on where you buy it. But I couldn't get this color at Expo, and with my card getting shut off that time, yes, C2 Summit, yeah. With my card getting shut off during Expo, they weren't taking cash purchases. So I couldn't even buy the gray one. So, but I finally got the teal one. I had to pay full price for it. But the Sea to Summit people were wonderful to me at Expo when they found out that I had planned to buy some stuff from them, and they weren't using cash at all. One of the employees at their booth at Flagstaff's, the Expo West, actually bought me one of their items. How wonderful was that? That was a real blessing, and I really appreciate it. So, and they are a good company. I mean, I do like their stuff. I'm not a big fan of lots of silicone. Let me stop talking about that. We'll set that down. So Jeremy is one of the mechanics that works with my main mechanic, Stan, at Stan's Diesel and Performance in St. John's, Arizona. That's where I get my rig worked on. So, Jeremy, thank you. And Jeremy has done lots of work on my rig. I think he loves it almost as much as Stan and I do. So, uh, I would you guys want to do a vote thing? Do you want me to talk about what happened this week first, or would you like me to walk you around camp first? Okay, I'm going to talk about what happened first, then we'll walk around camp. So I started off, I got the tracker on take a walk. Oh, okay. I can switch to take a walk. All right, let's do the walk first. I am going to, because I can talk. And that way, if anybody wants to just go, they can, because we know how this works. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I am currently in the General Flagstaff area. And so here we go. Turning camera around first. This is the lovely woods. And yes, I'm going to pick the camera up, so hopefully it won't get too shaky on you. You know, with my little bit of issues, sometimes I'm a little shaky. There we go. Okay, so now this is what a lovely place with trees, right? Look at that. Lovely. There's somebody camped over in there, but it's hard to see their car. I can see it barely over in there. And then there's another person here, but they look like they've been here a long time. They have some awkward looking things. And I picked a spot near a fire pit so I could put my ashes into the fire pit. Sometimes when my ashes are cold from my little fire thingies, I put them in a plastic bag and they go to the trash with me. So I'm going to first show you, this is my new chair. Now, Miss Mary was asking me about my chair. It's by GCI, and it's a Pico chair, and it folds up really small. And you see my cup, and I'm using that fold down stool as a table this morning. That's a common thing. The stuff beside it, the red bag's my fire starter kit. The green bag is the bag that the Kelly kettle goes in. This is a Kelly kettle. Kelly kettle is, this is the area you put the water in. This is a chimney. And so it boils really, really fast. You don't burn it with this top on, but this is the hobo stove part, and that's the fire bowl. And below the fire bowl is a stand to protect the ground. And then I have that very small, I think it's welding mat, but it's extremely small in order, and yes, fire, you get soot on you, to protect the ground so I can prevent fires. And so now we're going to go over to the rig. And the rig right now, I had to move it this morning because y'all know that I have my Cascadia 4x4 solar panel on the front. By the way, Jeremy is the one who helped me put that on. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Not just helped me, you did the install. And it's working lovely. I do hope someday that I can afford to have a house battery installed as well. But for now, it helps my drive battery to also run my refrigerator, which at the current moment is running in freezer mode. Jeremy also helped with reworking my light bar and making it more neat. And he and Stan welded on my front hitch. So those are things. Nope, I should be on the other side because of sunshine. So on this side, that little round thing is my badge from Overland Bound. I'm a member of Overland Bound. They just basically sponsored me by giving me a free membership. It was becoming challenging for me to pay the fee every year, and I get on the forums, but not very often. So anyways, now we're moving to the door. You see my screens. I will have to, I believe these screens are in my Amazon store. If you go to SimplyLesa.com, I think you can find them. And I will be reworking that store very soon because things are becoming simpler on my travels. So if you can't find them, hang on a minute and let me get them out there, or ask again. You know that I'll do things. And then in this window, you know, I have stickers of things. RTR is an event in Quartzsite, Arizona in January. Zuki Palooza, I just attended for the first time. Overland Expo, I need to put the years around it. Baja's because I went to Baja. These two on this side I may change, but because I'm not sure what I want in this window, but I don't use that window when I'm driving, so that's why that's that way. And let's keep going around the outside before I go inside. This is my Instaprivy shelter, the way I normally hang it from the back window. I stick it up on that thing. Yes, it's very short, but when I get inside, if I want to stand up really tall, I just let it rest on my head. But it being attached to the top, I don't have to be concerned. And it has, most of you have seen this. It has, there's the name. It has this little elastic for when you fold it up. And because I have my lovely water port, which is it's 10 liters, which is a little less than 4 gallons of water. I'm able to put this around because the Instaprivy is not made for wind. And so it helps it not blow around too much. You're going to see in a minute because the wind's kind of blowing. And then on the side of the water port, this is a Schrader valve for a bicycle pump, but I have this manual pump cap, so I don't have to use a pump. And then down low that's where the water comes out down here. I have other attachments and a sprayer hose. I actually took my second shower with it yesterday on Sabbath. And under the Instaprivy, I have this new floor thing I picked up. Now I'm using my newer, wait till these little jugs are on sale. It's a 3-gallon or 10-liter jerry can. And I waited until they were $35 to pick one up, because sometimes they're $65. And then the little blue thing became my floor for taking a shower or keeping my clothes clean when I'm changing clothes. That thing is actually made for scuba gear. So when guys are scuba diving, they have a place on the sand to take off their thing. So this Shadow Wolf you're going to see in a minute. So I added these mesh cargo net pockets for a vehicle onto my back door. And now my Atlases, this is a snap fold by Fossil with a Z. It's a big bowl, but it's also, I use it for a dishpan if I need to, or to wash laundry. And then I have a bowl for like eating out of. And then my Atlases are in here and bandanas. This is my little titanium stove I use all the time. Folds up into nothing. These are my grills and my windscreen. Yes, somebody made a comment about the clothesline up here. I just put a bungee cord on these two twisty the locks for my window. And then I'm able to, every couple of days I wash my Okay, this one is the brand Kula cloth. It's not my favorite, but it does work. But I have other brands of those, and they are replacements for toilet paper for that you can wash and dry. And then, of course, I washed a pair of pants, and then I have a washcloth up here that's drying. We'll go still outside. Let me still outside. Y'all know there's Shadow Wolf's sticker. I have stickers. You see Saznaks? Yeah. I have stickers from lots of friends and people I know. Cascadia 4x4 is my solar panel on the hood of the car. Yep. Lots of things. Okay. Back door. I still love my saddlebags. They just work. I'm not sure that this batch is going to last very long. They've faded. They've been on here a year. They've faded pretty badly, but they're still holding up. So they're not trash until they are. So this one has extra cooking stuff. So you see salt, Ziploc bags, tin foil. Woo, the wind. I usually hang a trash bag off of the side of this. It makes it easy, simple. Okay, you don't have to all know my license plate number, but there's what I have on the back right now. This backpack, most people use these backpacks on the back for trash, but I don't have room for that, and my trash is little. Here's another one of my, they call them pea cloths, okay, for hiking. And this is a trowel for using out in the woods, right? But this makes a good way for me to hang one on here and let it dry. And inside of here is where I keep my bathroom kit. And so the seat for my Instaprivy, I don't think you can see this, but the seat for my Instaprivy's down in there. Somebody gave me these Scrubs bath wipes. They're interesting. I don't know that I'd buy them normally. I don't like to use soap and stuff. I'm so allergic to things. But anyways, I still love the saddlebags. And this other saddlebag, this is all the fire starter stuff. If I have charcoal, it would be in here. Right now I've got tumbleweeds and, these I got cheap in Quartzsite. And, and my bug stuff is down in there. So like bug spray and stuff like that. Well, it's not spray, but anyways. And so that is the outside of the rig right now. You all know I have bigger tires for anybody who's into cars. All right, now we can go kind of inside. Like I said, I can the wind's blowing a little bit. See the trees? So I'll do my best. So inside, I want to upgrade this yoga mat that I've been using, but I'm not sure what I want. So that's on hold. For girls and especially as older women, a pea cup is a good idea. Okay, and I need to replace my rain jacket. This jacket is not actually any good in rain. This bag is my new set of Go Treads. They are a multi-purpose hinged set of recovery tracks. They won't do exactly the same thing as the big orange ones I used to have, but the package is smaller and it fits right there in the front. Most all the time it stays there. I added a new second sleeping bag. I got it from iClimb company off Amazon. It's Thinsulate because I'm allergic to down. That is an M, iClimb. It's the same company that made my little red table that I use outside. Sometimes I didn't put it up this time. I also added on the sides of the tracker under the windows, I added these cargo nets. That one has, a book to read and those hot hands things. And here's some more pea rags, just clean ones, just hanging out. I have a hat rolled up back there. I have curtains. They're going to change. I'm not changing the fabric. I'm going to remake them to fit better. Below that, though, right here is something that some of you guys want to see. I still have the 300-watt Rock Pals. Now, my Rock Pals right now is hooked in. Can I make that show you? See their little red light in the left-hand side? That's the new 12-volt outlet that Jeremy installed for me. And so right now, the Rock Pals is charging from that. And the refrigerator, whoops, I bumped it. The refrigerator is plugged into the Rock Pals. Because I'm sitting still right now, I want both to charge. And the refrigerator, you can see, is at 30 degrees. It was at a lower temperature earlier, but I accidentally unplugged it. So my refrigerator is made by, I can't do that from here. I'm going to have to go around the other side to show you, but it's an Alpacool C12. I don't think there's anything under the seats to show you. I have a few things up here. This Molly panel that I was given a set of these by this Spider company. Spider company makes roof racks for cars that do not have cross rails. So it's roof racks for cars with only tracks. I don't know that I'm saying the right word. Anyways, but that's what it's for. So they gave me a set of Molly panels for your visor. I'm not going to use them there. I've been trying that one, but it's too heavy. So I'm not going to be using that that way. I will probably modify it and use it somewhere else. I have an idea, but George, Mr. Tiny GPS, I asked him yesterday if in the next couple of days I could get some help from him to do a couple things. This backpack is my clothes bag right now. This bag is my everyday bag with all the camera gear in it and everything. Under there is where I put the Kelly kettle when I'm driving. Now you have to go to a meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. So what happened this week was, I'll tell you that in a minute. I'm going around. But so Brian can hear as he's saying goodbye. I drove the 3.5 hours up to the Flagstaff Belmont area, got here. Tiny GPS came to visit. And as he's looking at how cute my tracker is, I realize he wants to see under the hood. So I open the hood for him to see. And I'm like, oh, I should check the fluids while we're right here. And come to find out, I had no, as in not any, coolant in the car. Like, there must have been a little bit because after we added water, there's a little color. But and we had to add water kind of in an emergency situation and to test it and see what was wrong. So I'll tell you more about how we fixed it. Here's some more pictures of how I've got the refrigerator in here. This is the C12. It's not the smallest Alpacool. They make one smaller, but the difference between this and the smallest is the lid is higher. So you can actually stand a bottle up in here. Yes, I'm opening it. And because I'm only eating meat right now, I've got it running as a freezer. Can you see? That's frozen solid. And in fact, I forgot and I put a goat cheese in there. Yeah, it's frozen solid. So this, I got a real good deal on some tri-tip roasts the other day out of Bash's'. Bash's' is great for meat. And so I was able to bring it back to camp, cut it up, put it in plastic bags, and freeze it. So what I did for my platform, which a lot of you have not seen, let me set that up there, is I just have a piece of old plywood. I didn't have any, I wasn't near my glue. All I had was these, I forgot what they're called, screws. Lathe screws. It's all I had. So I screwed this on. This piece of carpet was the $25 roll of fake grass from Dollar General. Okay. And then to get this piece on there with a, let me take that off. That's a phone holder thing. I made this so this pulls out. The piece of wood under here, under this piece of, that's a piece of flooring I got at a restore. That piece of wood needs to be changed. It's not a good piece, but I sealed it so that the smells of any, plywood or whatever, I can bring it out about that far. Okay, which is pretty far. And it just slides in and out. It's a little tough to slide because it's a little thick. And then I just attached this stuff this way. It's the best I had in the moment. And then I went for less than $8 and I bought a bunch of these eye bolts and just screwed them in where if I bend this one forward and this one forward and I wiggle the refrigerator just right, I can get it out. And then the legs are just, I did this myself, you guys. I have pictures of it somewhere. The legs are just PVC pipe with a little piece of, these pieces are horribly expensive, but they're like a cap. And I just screwed straight down into the cap and then the legs are there. And then the other day, Stan did this for me because it kept jumping when I'd go over a bump and it would move forward and I couldn't maneuver it. So temporarily, that's the way that is. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm gonna go back at some point and see what you all are commenting on because it's hard to see while I'm doing this. And so I have, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches here that I can put things in and out. And if can I do this? There's my phone cord from the Rock Pals. You see I have to move a few things to try to do this. If I lift this up, whoop, dropped a cup. You could see where my seat's right there. So I made a round spot for the head of the seat to go in. And so I'm still sleeping on top of the seat, basically. So I hope you could see that well enough to understand the general idea. Okay. So that's kind of how that works. My lawn chair folds up into this bag, small enough that that fits right there. And a spare roll of paper towels fits between those 2 legs right there. And then this is some food items, but when I talk to George about the little thing we're going to do, these food items won't be down there for very long. They're kind of in the way. My paper towels aren't where I want them. So we'll talk about that in a minute. This was an old first aid kit. And I was trying to cover up the first aid part, so I used a bunch of stickers people had given me. Go Treads. Oh, Patty Upton, really cool. Her husband and her in the 80s did the only all on land round the world travel, completely on land, except for porting across rivers. Very interesting. They hold a Guinness World Record for what they did. And so I do decaf coffee because I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. Some decaf coffee. This is an alcohol stove. Some Folgers singles. They're actually not bad. And then silverware and lighters. And okay, that's that. I'd like to have a bigger one of those for what's under here, but I found this because I'm not a big fan of plastic, but I found this plastic clear so I can see into it case that I could tell would fit under. It was from Walmart for $6. I like a budget. And it was in the craft department, but it opens here and it has a handle. So that goes way in the back. And if I need to pull it out, and if this is here first, that can, wait a minute, let me show you. That can pull out right on top of the blue one, which, see, makes it a little easier to get in. Anyways, the back of the car gets dusty. This is not something I don't love putting things on the dusty part. Okay, what else? So this window space up here, the curtains, I made them way too big on purpose, and they've been working fine for now. I'm keeping that one down to keep the sun off the refrigerator. And most of the time, I put my bath towel on top of the refrigerator as insulation. Someday I would like to make a cover, probably and Velcro it on, that will help with insulating the refrigerator. But that window is what I'm going to have George help me with, Tiny GPS help me with. I either want to see how the window frame is here. I want to use perhaps the screws that are in the window to make a shelf up high and or use a cargo net I already have, and or use those Molly panels that from Spider Company and make something for that window that gives me a place to put the paper towels, some extra coffee, these bags of food things that are just hanging out down here. Some of these little things that are in my way but don't weigh anything. So that's the plan with that. Okay, got through that. Do another circle around. Let's go close my door. So, Jeremy, you see my coolant. Yes, it's concentrate. No, I haven't put much of that in the engine yet, or in the radiator yet. But that's because now we can talk about what actually happened. So, I'm going to come back and sit down. So, yes, there's a reason I'm not using Reflectix. Reflectix looks homeless. No offense. Okay, I'm having to adjust the tripod. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, whoops. It's tall, but I gotta lock it. Whoops, did I do it the right way to lock it? No, unlock, lock. Unlock, lock. Unlock, lock. And legs. Okay, so now I got legs down. Oops, I got it too tall. Y'all can't see me now. All right, there we go. How's that? Y'all can see me this time. Okay, so yeah, Reflectix. I have had some bad experiences over the years with Reflectix and policemen. And I'm not saying they still do it, but there's a look. Reflectix has a tendency to look very poor and homeless. Now, I have made some beautiful curtains with Reflectix before, and I thought about putting Reflectix inside my current curtains. But the reason that I did not was because I needed them to roll up, and Reflectix won't do exactly what I want it to do. So that's why I don't use it. And in my front windows, I use the twisty style shade screen things. They're round and they have the wire in them, and you twist them to fold them up because they take up such small amount of space. So, okay. What do I need to? I need to go catch up with y'all now and see what you've done for comments. I'm checking I'm watching to see whether I need to. I'm going to go take down, I'll turn the camera around. I'm going to go take down the Insta Privy so it doesn't blow too much. I'm not sure you can actually see me because I'm standing way over here. Okay. Okay. So now I don't have to be concerned about that while we talk. Okay. Whew. All right. Let me go see what y'all have been saying. Thank you all for being here. Why not on my fridge? That depends. Okay, let me go see more so I know what we're talking about. Whoops, fingers in the way. Okay. Okay, so that's the Sea to Summit. I already saw those comments. Okay. Take a walk. My choice. They gave it Oh, yeah. Do you have a solar panel and a Blue Eddy or Jackery or something like that? Okay, so I think I answered that. You saw that I have a 300-watt Rock Pals. It was a gift. I did not bring the 100-watt solar panel with me because it's portable, but it's a large piece and I didn't think I'd use it. I'm not sure if I want to bring it with me or not. It would be useful to like have it in the sun away from the car, but I don't know about traveling with the size of it. That's my thing. So I lost your messages. Hang on. Okay. Okay. Trying to go back. Trying to go back. There we go. Oh, you're getting new stickers. Great. I love my new stickers. I need to order some more. So I answered that one about the solar panel. Store water and have a pressurized shower. Yes. And then I have the extra, well, you saw the jerry can, I can put drinking water in. The jerry can sweats if you put ice in it, but the mouth of it's big enough to put ice in. So I'd kind of like a neoprene cover for the jerry can so it wouldn't sweat so bad. And then I'd put ice in it more often. Go tracks on your site. I've been looking for them. Not yet on my site, but I can put them on my site. It would help me. Getting new stickers. Okay, I'm uh, trying to scroll these messages is hard. Okay. All right, I read that already. Could you just let me do the thing? Okay. I have a signal, right? Yeah, you guys are, I'm not scrolling. Yep, there's a signal. So what happened that I can't see your all messages and it won't let me scroll? Chats. Okay, there we go again. Where am I going to? I'm heading to Redmond, Oregon. But I can't make the question stay up yet. Let me take a break, breathe. What I found is sometimes when that happens, either my phone's trying to do something else, or you guys are writing a message and sending it, and I'm trying to be fast. God, I hate to make people wait. There it comes. You could make a quilt cover for my refrigerator, but I would need to tell you one, what I want, Miss Catherine, and I have a couple of things I would like to do. Why not on my fridge? I think you mean using the seat as part of the bed. Yes, that's important in my rig. I like the way that turned out. I got the Alpacool. It works great. Yes, mine works great. What did you find? Okay, so Jeremy, I'm going back to that because I think I read everybody else's. Um, so I tried to get somebody to do a pressure test for me. They wanted to charge me money for it. And then I have two buddies out here that are mechanics. Not the same mechanics as your level, Jeremy, but George from Tiny GPS has enough mechanical. He's good. He knows what he's doing, and he's careful with other people's things. And then I have another buddy, Chuck, who used to have his own shop, and he's good, but he's different. And it's all they're all good. Everybody's different. And so Chuck has all of his tools with him. Tiny has lots. George has lots of tools with him. So it was George that I was showing the engine when we realized that it was empty. So George said, we got to put water in it. And I'm like, okay, I don't have any of the right kind of water, but at least I've got RO filtered water. And he goes, well, you got to do something. And so I think I got a hold of Stan so that I was texting with Stan. And so we put water in it. We actually just, out of my jerry can, the RO water, poured it in until it overflowed, it and the reservoir. And then Tiny, shook the car a little bit, hoping it would burp. And then we waited a little while and we started the engine and let it circulate. And then the next morning we checked and there was still fluid in it. So there was still water in it. And so we were like, well, the next test is driving it. And that's what Stan had said as well. Thank you, George. I'll come back to that Reflectix thing. So then so there was water in it. Stan had and Tiny and Chuck had all said, well, the next test is to drive it. Just don't 5 miles only. And so drove it. I think I drove it 6 miles, but 5 miles more or less. And it burped water through the system, circulated water through the system. Then we could see a little bit of green. So there still was, my antifreeze is green. So we still could see a little bit of antifreeze in it because the color now was a little faded green. And so we were like, well, okay, it wasn't all the way empty, but how weird that my temperature gauge didn't show anything on the trip up here. And I get here and it's just empty. And empty like nothing in, if you opened the cap, there was nothing in it. There was nothing in the reservoir. And we opened the drain and nothing came out the drain. I think it's called a drain plug. Anyway, for the radiator. So then so I drove it a little bit. We checked it again. There was still fluid. There was still water in it. There was less water in the reservoir. So we knew it was pulling water from the reservoir. So then I start sweating a little bit because I don't know where the water's going. And of course, I'm old enough to remember about head gaskets. So I'm checking the oil at the same time, knowing that Jeremy and Stan had just done my oil pan, so I knew I had good clean oil in it. Plus, I had already checked the oil before I left home. So I knew it looked like straight out of the bottle oil. And so I was like, I just wanted to be sure that I'm being careful it's not going in the engine and like messing up my head gasket. So I finally am talking to Chuck about it, and Chuck says, well, we got to do the pressure test at the same time as Stan is texting me, you got to go get a pressure test done. And he said, if you were here, this is what I would do. And so Chuck said, well, I'll do the pressure test. And I said, but we don't have a tool. And he said, oh no, we go to AutoZone and I rent it. It's free. It's just, I got to give them my credit card overnight or for however many days we have it. And so I was like, serious? So Chuck did the pressure test and we found the leak. Okay, Jeremy? We found the leak. It was a hose down on the bottom in an awkward spot that was really hard to get to. The hose had come a little bit off and the hose clamp was not tight. And so we pushed the hose back on and took quite a while to get a wrench down in there so that we could, well, actually a socket, so that we could tighten it up. But we got it tightened up, put the pressure tester thing back on it, pumped it up to 17, let it sit for 2 hours, and no fluid came out. So then we were just I was looking at, has my oil changed at all? Well, I pulled the dipstick and it looked looked like coffee with milk in it. And I went, oh shit, no. My head gasket's gone. No. And I said something to Chuck, and he goes, no, I don't think so. It's probably just condensation. He said, if it was really the head gasket, it would be all frothy and look like a milkshake. And I'm like, but it didn't look like coffee with milk in it yesterday. And then anyways, so I'm nervous. And we're like, look, we'll just wait. Let's just wait, drive it a little bit, see what happens, check the oil a lot, and just see what's going on with it. And in the meantime, Chuck's telling me about how there's this block check, which and I called Napa to find out. Napa here has block check. It cost about $55 or something like that. And it checks the vapor that when you run the engine, it checks the vapor like the steam or something and makes a chemical change to show you whether your head gasket is bad or not. And so once I understood what it was and I found out it was available, Chuck and I talked about it quite a bit. And Chuck said, no, just wait. And I said, okay. He said, if we need to, we'll do that. But he said, let's wait a minute. Let's not spend the money yet. Let's wait and see what's going on with that color of the oil. He says, because maybe it's just, it doesn't look like a problem to me. So I'm nervous about it, but I wasn't able to stay at his camp area. Not that I couldn't have, but it was, his girlfriend was showing up and he had a buddy and a dog there. And it was just, and I'm got enough stuff going on in my head. I don't want to like mess around with other people. So he said, what you need to do is drive it a little bit. And I checked with Stan. Stan said the same thing. I said, all right. So but I didn't tell Stan I was worried about the head gasket. So because I didn't want to worry him too soon. And I didn't want to worry too soon. So now the wind's blowing. I don't know if it's going to affect your hearing me. But so I drove around a little bit because they said you got to drive it a few miles and a few miles. And I was going to go to town, but it didn't work out right. I think there's one more package that Betty Joe's getting for me that I forgot about. And so I thought I would have gone and I went to get her keys to go pick up the package. She couldn't find the keys. I was like, don't worry about it. I just need to drive the car around anyways. So, got back to a different campsite, did a little putzing around hunting for campsites, looked at some cool spots, drove around quite a little bit, checked the oil. It looks like normal, straight out of the bottle. And I was like, how can that be? So I slept on it and then I drove again. And then it was like checking it again and it looks just like oil straight out of an oil bottle. And I was like, maybe it's okay, but how can that be? So I'm racking my brain for how did it look like coffee with milk in it that one time? Then I remembered that when George had checked things, he's careful. He just used a paper towel and wiped the thing off. But, right. Thank you, Jeremy. I didn't really know that. But I also knew we got to circulate the water and stuff through the system too. And I haven't filled it with antifreeze. It still has a lot of water in it, but it's not cold right now. So, I have a little time. I'm being careful, but I got a little time. So I remembered when Tiny was looking at the dipstick, he asked me for a paper towel and he wiped it off and he checked it like I do, like everybody else I know does. But when Chuck tested it, Chuck had been under the car and had the water from the leak on his fingers. Then he went to the dipstick and he wiped it with his fingers. And then he went to the oil cap and he wiped the bottom of the oil cap with his finger. And I went, oh crap, maybe that's what it was. So I cleaned them off real good with the paper towel, put them back, and then I've driven more and tested it more. The oil looks normal. Jeremy, I think I'm okay. But I was scared there for a minute because I was really like, oh crap, head gaskets are like $2,000 or something. And I don't know how I'm going to do that. And I don't know who to trust to do it. And will I have to try to figure out a way to get it back to St. John's to get it done? And, that's the way my thoughts were going. So you can imagine I wasn't good to anybody for a few couple days because my mind was too full with what am I going to do? I'm going to have to cancel my classes. I'm going to have to, totally take a nosedive on my YouTube stuff that's starting to become easier to do. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So, but I'm right, Jeremy, right? That if it's clear oil now that I have not gone out on the highway and driven it down to Flagstaff yet. That's my next big one is to get back on the highway and drive it at highway speed. But that's probably the last of the big check. And if there's nothing wrong, then I'm probably good to go. Would that be probably right, Jeremy? I hope that's probably right. So that's that big story. That was scary, and I'm sure that it was hard for the people around me. I know Betty Joe saw me during that time, and I was kind of hard to be around. And I had to get off by myself in a different camp alone so that I could have my little, hyperventilating a little bit and worried about things and trying to come up with some plan A, B, C, X, Y, Z, right? Just in case. Um, just to kind of be safe. So I did that, came off into a camp by myself. Um, and it helped me to calm back down, realize where I'm at. I got this, been through stuff like this before too. Just didn't want to be stuck, not able to do my summer trip. Okay, okay, that was my plan, and then uh, after I do a little bit of highway, then I figure I'm pretty good. Yeah, as long as there's nothing else going on. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm so glad you're out here. Um, Jeremy is so cool. Um, anyway, let's see. I heard from Skip in the Philippines. I heard from him the other day. He's doing good. He's getting in starting to do some scuba diving. He used to, he used to dive a long time ago. So when he was younger, so he's having fun with that. Um, I don't know what else right now. I so appreciate everybody's prayers and thoughts. I did put a message out on the membership thing this week on YouTube, and told them that I was concerned about the head gasket and to please pray about it because I didn't know at that point. So that's one example of some of the things that the members will know before you guys do that something has happened. Um, okay. Thank you, Jeremy. I bought concentrate this time. Jeremy, tell me something. Now, I'm sure George would know or Chuck, but tell me, Jeremy, would you advise that I drain the radiator mostly or all to get the RO water out of it before I add more concentrate? Oh, Candy, hi. Or should because I am aware that the concentrate they want you to put distilled water with the concentrate. Would you in your uh, would you say drain it and then use distilled water and refill it so that I have a better mix of the distilled water with the concentrate that I bought. Um, or what's your advice on that for that radiator thing? Anyways, Tiny, you asked me about Reflectix on my refrigerator. Yeah, because it's ugly and I have to live in an awful small space. That doesn't mean I wouldn't use Reflectix, but I certainly would cover it with something so I don't have to look at it. And I haven't decided exactly what I want in there from an aesthetic standpoint. And also, Catherine asked me about she could quilt me something. Yes, yes. I've already been. I'm working on a design idea I have for the refrigerator to insulate it from the outside, and I want to keep. I've got to keep all the airspace around it. I've got to keep the vents open. So I have a couple of ideas in my mind, and so they will be things that someone could stitch, and or they will have Reflectix, and or they will have or it'll be uh 3M77 spray to to fuse fabric to Reflectix so that I have something that looks good to me as well. So I'll be working on an aesthetically pleasing thing that helps to insulate the refrigerator. But you saw that little fridge, I've had a couple of people notice it now that I'm using it in freezer mode, and they're going, well, crap, I could buy one of those as a freezer to go along with my 12-volt refrigerator. And yes, you absolutely could. Um, so, George, the thing I want your help with, do you think you could do that with me, that for that window storage? Do you think you could do that with me in the next 2 days? Um, okay, I'm going to check comments. Uh, Candy, that just came in, Skihan. I never know if I'm saying your name right, but Candy, you may want to go back and watch what I've already shown, and hear the story about what just happened. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I'll just carry that gallon of fluid around with me. The spray glues bother me to use them, and until they off gas. Absolutely. But I generally, if I'm doing a project, I'm out in the outdoors on a good sunny day, and I let them off gas as long as I can before I install them. So I used to make a lot of fused together reflectics and fabrics. Oh yeah, not today, but I'm thinking in the next 2 days. Because now that I've had all this stuff, I'm like, maybe in 2 days I'll have driven enough that I'm comfortable with going on my trip. Go Going further on my trip. So when I used to make all these fused reflectix curtains for other people's rigs and buses and whatever else, I would borrow somebody's table and work outside, and then I would wear a mask, and I would be very careful about how long I'm around the spray. But of course, it bothers me. Yes, um, I told some of you all that I've started to do some research on mold avoidance. Very interesting because I didn't realize I was already doing that. And maybe some of the stuff that's wrong with me, I've often wondered if I had Lyme's disease and not true MS. And yet, MS, part of what tells the doctors that you have MS is the lesions on a certain part of your brain. And so, okay, if they say it's MS, it's MS. But I've wondered about Lyme's disease because I've had ticks. I lived in Virginia a long time. And when I hiked on the Appalachian Trail, you got to check yourself all the freaking time. So, so it's possible I've had Lyme's disease. But now that I'm finding the mold avoidance people, I'm reading a couple of books, very interested in the information because it's funny that I learned as early as 1978 that Lesa's healthier when she lives outdoors. Well, there you go, Jeremy. Hey, I've used my pea cup to put fires out. So, I mean, you do what you got to do. Exactly, Beth. I do believe that that's possible. But I have to say, now, I don't know if Betty Joe's still here, and I don't want to upset Betty Joe, and I don't think I will. But just in case, I want to be careful how I say this. Um, where Betty Joe is camped, which is not far from me right now, when I slept there, I was really sick, and the brain fog I had was so bad that I could not put a sentence together, even in my thoughts. And I couldn't like figure out what was going on. But once I got away and I was in my own camp area where I found a spot that felt good to me and the air feels cleaner. And then after I started to feel better, I was like, when have I felt that before? When I was at the cabin. I was like, what's the same in the two places? I've been using wood pellets that are made in Show Low from the wood that's being forested out of Flagstaff and Show Low and the White Mountains and all around the area. And they just recently had been logging over closer to where Betty Joe's camped. And there are huge piles of the small logs where they just bulldozed them up, right? Or well, pushed them up into a pile of like the composting pine needles and small branches and stuff that they didn't take out when they were logging. And it made me wonder, and now that I'm reading some of the books about the mold avoidance, it's making me wonder even more. I wonder if the fire retardant that gets sprayed in this area and that probably is in the wood that comes out of here and goes down to the plant to be made into wood pellets. I wonder if that's the problem because I've been using wood pellets for compost for my toilet bucket at the cabin for like 2 or 3 years. And so even though I'm not, there's no smell, but my compost pile does have a lot in it. And I wonder, so I'm not going to make some big rash determination, but where I'm at right now, I'm not so close to where the logging was. And so I'm not so close to the fire retardants or the big, huge compost piles. And so I don't know. So, yeah. Yes, Epstein Barr TMI. Yeah. I mean, TBI. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if I can poke this again. I've been doing pretty good lately on keeping my electrolytes up. I don't love the taste of the magnesium and potassium. I've got the stuff to make my own and I don't love the taste. And then I bought some of the LMNT horribly expensive electrolytes thinking it would be easier to drink. It's not. So I'm doing my best, but I'm getting in, a couple of cups of caffeinated coffee, and then I get a couple of cups of decaf coffee with some goat milk in it during the day. I'm able to buy powdered goat's milk at Walmart, and then I'm able to, and then I drink a nice big container of electrolyte water. I sometimes have to choke it down, but I do it, and I'm doing pretty good lately with those things. So, and getting just something about making sure I'm in an area where I can breathe better. Well, if you can't breathe, how are you going to stay alive? And so I'm not having the nosebleeds, but I was having them when I was, and we're talking, 2 miles away or something. But I was having nosebleeds over there just like I was having at home. And so I feel better already. All kind of weird, but so I'm really encouraged reading the information I'm reading about this mold avoidance thing, just because I'm reading other people going through stuff I've been through. Never even thought about the fact that, well, I just thought I was weird. So I don't know if Jeremy drinks beer, but his if he's a beer drinker, his pee's probably fine. Oh, that's funny. All right. Am I missing questions? How are we doing? Well, we've gotten in an hour. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk more to Brian when he was here, but I'll get a phone call in with him. Um, and George, I hope. Well, George and Tammy, I could be talking to Tammy too. Um, I hope that your Jeep is okay. He's probably just doing maintenance. I do a lot of maintenance too. Um, oh, I don't know what else to talk about this morning. I'm so glad to have that little floor thing I got. That blue. Can you see it? No, I don't know. I don't think I can make. But that blue floor thingy I got for underneath my shower. What that made such a nice shower. And I didn't even put hot water in the thing when I took my shower yesterday. I will sometimes do that because you could pour hot water in that tank. Um, that tank is great on this tiny a car. The fact that it's only about, um, yeah, the scuba gear thing, yeah. Um, uh, but that water port tank that has been, oh, okay, okay, good. That water port tank has been wonderful. That was a gift from um, TJ Shack. What a fantastic blessing that was. I still need to get a couple of the accessories, which I don't understand why the company made them accessories, because it's just, a pain in the butt to have to order $6 or $5 or whatever it is, dust caps. Why didn't they just put them in the package? You know, Whatever. But yeah, but that water port's been fantastic, and I need to get want to get the connector for the side that makes a place to hook my sprayer hose when I'm using it, because it's kind of hard to hold that around. Let me see what that last. When are you planning to be in Oregon? I was supposed to be in Oregon. No, let me rephrase that. I am expected to be in Oregon just after the 4th of July. The Overland Expo Pacific Northwest is in Redmond, Oregon at the Deschutes, I think is how you say it, Expo Center, the weekend of the 6, 7, 8, 9, or 7, 8, 9, or whatever it is. And I'm teaching at that. So that's where I'm headed. I think any of us who have unexplained health issues, I think we're always searching for what's going on and why is mine like this and what can I do about it? And if I do this, will it make any difference, right? And I did find with mine that my diet and food makes a big difference in my health. So, but I'm so much better the last few days. Wow, I have not had, knock on wood, or something, Wait, a piece of wood. Knock on wood. Okay, that's supposed to be funny. Um, I have not had any more of the like. I think I don't know that they call them spasms. I forgot what they. I haven't had the flare up thing. I haven't had my arm have the electric feeling and and just fly up by itself or whatever. I haven't had any of that in a few days. So yay, keep keep that going good. I just feel so much better that I actually will be able to go on the trip most likely. So you can use this cover tag with the first day. Oh, there you go. So today, what am I doing today? I was going to drive some, but I don't know. This camp is so comfortable. Yeah, so I'm doing lion diet right now. Not perfectly because you saw I still have goat cheese and I'm having goat milk. So I guess I'm technically carnivore, but I'm having only ruminant meat, mostly beef. I'm trying to make sure that it has a pretty decent marbling or fat content. And I'm really not in the mood for ground beef. So, yeah, I watch when I go into the store. And like I said, any of the bashes I've been real happy with lately, except for I'm not happy with the butcher, not the meat department, and not the bashes in Sanders. It's the butcher I'm not happy with, and they did not fire him. But uh, the most of the bashes, I'll go to a bashes when I'm in a town. So here in Flagstaff, I went to bashes, and what I hunt for is the price per pound on the meat. And so I'm hunting for a big chunk sometimes with a decent price per pound. And so the other day here in Flagstaff, they had for $4.99 a pound tri-tip roasts. So I bought three tri-tip roast. Came back and cut them in pieces and put them in bags, and that's what's frozen in the fridge. And this morning, when I was making my coffee, I used the Kelly kettle to boil my water. And while the Kelly kettle's boiling, I get a couple of sheets of foil. I bought the pop out box. It comes out like a Kleenex comes out of a box. Anyways, and so I pull two sheets of that out and I take the frozen meat and stick in the foil, wrap it up good and tight. And then when I'm done boiling the water, I put the little hobo stove top on, put more wood in it, and just put the meat package, the tin foil package of meat on top, and it'll thaw and cook. And I just flip it over a few times and it cooks. It's a, that's and then I don't even have dishes to wash. That is the easiest, simplest, and it's just the meat and salt is all I'm doing. And okay, and potassium, I'm not tracking it. I'm just using the recipe I was given, and I'm not gonna track it because one, I'm a little lazy. No, I'm not lazy. I just don't want to. It's too much trouble. And I think that when it's all said and done, you should be able to just eat food and not worry about these things because men don't know how our bodies work. People don't get this. We study, we do things, but we don't know it all. And so I think God has put things in place in nature to take good care of us. And I think that, yes, I'm trying to solve a problem here. And as long as I'm feeling well and I'm not having any major issues, I'll keep doing what I'm doing. until I'm super, super, super healthy. When I'm super, super healthy, then I ought to be able to back off taking electrolytes and things. I ought to be able to get that from my food and the air and whatever else. Yeah. And Jeremy, I do a lot of walking barefoot. Um, touch, you know, they would have probably called me a tree hugger. I'm not hugging trees because these pine trees would get sticky stuff on my clothes, but I will for sure. I will sit on the ground. I will lay down in the dirt. I've been known to, well, I'd rather lay in the grass, but I've been known to lay down in the grass and just be there for a while. It's, yeah, being outdoors. I think the being in nature is a real big piece of staying healthy. I agree with that. And so I touch as much natural stuff as I can. Um, I will walk barefoot, and I've just started doing something about making sure. Yeah, earthing. Yeah, I've been doing something about. I'm. I never have been a change my clothes a lot person because I thought it was wasteful, silly, something. But I'm trying something from the mold avoidance people about I'm not washing my hair every night because you can imagine with this much hair, washing it every night. And my hair doesn't do good going to bed with wet hair. I often can wake up sick if my hair's wet. So I prefer to wash my hair during the day when it can dry. Um, but um, for years, I have done the brush your hair 100 strokes thing, like was old school. And so I'm doing more of that at night in camp, and actually changing into pajamas so that I have pajamas for sleeping in and day clothes for that are more outdoors. And I don't know. I'm just going to try it for a while and see if I notice any difference because they talked about in this mold avoidance thing how some people the smells from outdoors or whatever or the spores of things from outdoors get on their clothes and or their hair, and then they go in and they put their head on the pillow or the whatever and they breathe it in and they get more sick, and that it took some of them a while to figure out that if they would just change their clothes and wash up before bed that they didn't have that reaction. So I thought, well, it's worth a shot. You know, it never was super important to me because it just wasn't. But I'll try it. Let's see what happens. So, and there is a lot of dust blowing around. I just saw a dust cloud behind me. Um, well, this has been good this morning. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for being here and giving me your expert opinion on things. Everybody, thank you for being here. We're at 123, so we could go a few more minutes. Any more questions? I don't think I've really missed anything from anybody. Yeah, Beth, well, you probably know I'm technically allergic to cow's milk and dairy. So I did test that theory again recently by buying some ghee, which is not cheap, and trying it, and I can't yet. So, so I'm hoping at some point that that will heal. I'm glad that A2 milk works for you. Um, it is hard for me to get raw goat milk. Uh, we I used to have people in the area near my cabin that had raw goat's milk, but they haven't had it. So, oh, I'm so glad that I probably will be able to go on my trip. that just makes me feel so much better because I was stressing over that. I was like, no, I don't want to go back to the cabin for months because I can't afford to fix this thing. No. The thing, well, I'm just human. Come on, people. I love my little tracker, though. I'm just telling you, I love my little tracker. There you go. Oh, you know what else I have for a backup as well as the powdered goat's milk? I also have that um, Chomps original mild beef sticks. I was able to find a bag of them. They're about $15 for what, 8 of them or something. I mean, they're expensive, but I don't react to them. And so I have those for emergencies or for drive day when I'm planning to put in a lot of hours. I wish I had had those on the trip to Baja. That would have made life a lot simpler, but I didn't know at the time. And so, awful grateful I have that. If I had known some of these extra things, I probably would have done some things different on that trip. But you know what? I had a good trip, right, Candy? And the next trip will be different, and it's all good. How can we use less water to do dishes when we use too much water? Well, that depends on. Okay, let's before I. So first off, washing dishes as a concept, you might want to think through what your particular definition of washing dishes is. Some people are taught when they're young that you have to have a sink full of hot soapy water and a second sink full of hot clear water, and that there's only one way to wash dishes. You have to use a rag, or you have to use a sponge, or you have to use a scrubber, or you whatever it is, right? Um, so a lot of this is cultural and familial. That means based on your family or tribal or whatever. Thank you, Jeremy. And so wash. Thank you, Jeremy. Um, so find first your definition of dishes. And since Tiny GPS, I know that you're two people. You're George and Tammy. And so you're going to have one definition based on what you grew up with, and Tammy's going to have another definition. So first find what those are so that you are more aware of what you think is the way it has to be done. And then, okay, Beth, I'm gonna speak to yours quick. I'm allergic to vinegar. I told Bob a long time ago, don't tell people that's how you do it. Who says that's the way? There are as many ways to wash dishes as there are people in the world. Okay? And so take a chill pill and find the way that works for you. I'm allergic to vinegar. If you go to wash your plate and I'm nearby, we're going to have a problem. It's already happened more than once. So I want to use less water, but I've also had a lot of experiences in life. So there are people in the world that will let their dog lick the dish first, then they will wash the dish. There are people, old Girl Scout rules. You had to have 3 pans of water, and one of those pans of water had to have some Clorox in it. Okay? So just, I did research when I was getting ready to become a long distance hiker. And I was like, there's not going to be access to water like there usually is. So how am I going to deal with mine? So I took mini itty bitty, like 2.5 or 3 ounce bottles of Dr. Bronner's with me when I hiked. Okay. And I found that the mint one, and I love mint as a medicinal plant, peppermint as a medicinal plant. I don't like spearmint, but it was too strong. And so I had to switch to the plain Castile soap that had no flavor. Um, but uh, I found that that's good. Sterilizing them in the sun is good. I found that you don't need the soap. Right now, no, well, okay, so when I was hiking, hikers have a tendency to be, okay, pretend it's the pot. You tend to be eating out of the pot, not a separate bowl, because then you only have the one thing to wash. And then if you fill it up with water after you've eaten your food, and then you boil it again or stir it so you're getting all the little, and then you drink the water. A lot of hikers do these things, okay? And then all you're doing is wiping it out because it's basically kind of clean. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. Okay. You can lick your plate yourself and then afterwards wipe it off somehow. Or like, who was it? Beth that just said uh, she puts it in the sun to sterilize. Do that. Yeah, it was her. Um, uh, I don't wash dishes like, yeah, exactly. Hiker, and especially long distance hikers. Pay attention. Go read what they do about their kitchen, about their dishes. I do a lot of that. But now that I'm doing carnivore and lion diet and I've cut so many things out, I wash my hair with bentonite clay and salt. I brush my teeth with bentonite clay, baking soda, and salt. I used to only use baking soda, but that's what I'm using now. When I wash my dishes, if I need to scrub them, I just put a little rough salt down. And I have fine salt and um, a thicker kosher salt size, that's a bigger piece of salt. And so I use that kosher salt as a little rougher, right? And so I just put a little salt in the bottom if I need to scrub the pot, but I don't need to scrub my pots because of the way I'm doing things. But if I want to, I just use salt water. It's what I'm doing lately. It works. It's easy. It's cheap. And I boil things. I boil a lot of my water before I ever even ingest it. So um, uh, it is one way to sterilize water when you're not sure. But it also, for me, I don't know, it's a calming. When the water's been boiled, it's calmer for me. I used to, once upon a time, I spent a year only washing my hair with rainwater. That was a thing. But that was easier to do in Costa Rica. Um, but yeah, right now I'm just using salt. Maybe make a video of the way I do dishes. Okay. And if I'm in a hurry, in a parking lot, in a Walmart situation, I will take one of my baby wipes. I choose the Huggies Simply Clean baby wipes. They're so few ingredients in them and nothing I'm allergic to that I will wipe out a, a, a dish with, if it's messy, with a paper towel, but I don't have messy dishes anymore, really. And I'll wipe it out with a baby wipe, and then I'll rinse it with salt water. That's, I mean, not much of a video. Well, I could do it, but it's not much of a video. Okay, I could do that. But so that's what I'm doing right now. But I've always kind of been a hiker style, you know. Make sure you put plenty of. You don't have to use a lot of water. You can, I don't know if you know this. Back when I was first out here in the West and I was cooking in big Dutch ovens, I had a 14-inch Dutch oven. I used to cook for everybody at the RTRs and at the after RTRs and the pre RTRs, when we would all start gathering. And I would make these huge pots of lamb stew and chili and whatever else that I don't even eat anymore, right? But we didn't have water. I didn't have any water to wash those dishes with. So I would take a small amount of water, rinse the pot out, ask anybody if they wanted the liquid, right? Then I would put sand in the pot and scrub it with a rock. And then we would rinse it out again and make sure the sand's out of it. But how do you think the cowboys and the explorers, when they were first out here before other people, before cars and stores and piped water, how do you think they washed things with no water? You saved water when you could, but you didn't waste water by washing dishes. You used sand for everything you could, and then you just brush as much of it out as you can before you put water in it. And another thing, if you were boiling your coffee as a cowboy, you'd use the coffee grounds to wash your pot with, because the coffee grounds were the trash. You weren't wasting the coffee, but you can scrub with coffee grounds too. It's a good thing. In fact, coffee grounds is really good for your skin. Some women who are trying to get rid of cellulite use coffee grounds to massage their body. So we use oil or butter. Wait a minute, let me go back. I didn't quite see it. I wish it wouldn't disappear. I wish they'd listen to oil or butter cooking so they get greasy. Okay. Yeah, I would. Well, hi, Dan, anyways. Better late than never, somebody said. Oops, whoops. Okay, I can't see the last one. Yeah, well, my pans. How do I say this? I'm eating only meat. I'm eating meat that's greasy, okay? But I don't have greasy pots. Why? Because when the pot is hot, now it depends on what the pot's made out of, what the metal's made out of. So if it's a cast iron or a like cowboy steel, what's the other name of that steel? Is carbon steel, which is healthy as well. If it's one of those, or titanium, because I have a lot of titanium pots. If you have one of those, um, if you have one of those metals as your pot, when you're finished eating, well, that depends. It's not really that much salt, Jeremy. It's not that much salt. You'd be surprised. But I do go through a lot of salt. That's true. I should buy stock in Redmond Real Salt Company. Anyway, um, I forgot what I was telling you. What was I telling you? I was answering a question. Um, Once you've cooked your greasier foods in a pot like that, take the food out of the pot. Say you put it on your plates, right? Then immediately, while it's still hot, put water in it. Put hot water in it, or warm, like tepid, tepid. Water that's hot enough that you could stick your finger in, but like bath water, hot water. Pour that in the pan, slosh it around, and either drink that water or throw that water out or pour it over your dog food, right, for your dog. And then wipe the pan with something that takes the particles out, like if there's any particles left. So paper towel will work. If you're like me and you have fires occasionally, paper towels, the only reason I use them, because I prefer bandanas. I can wash those. But if I'm having fires, if there's not a fire ban, then a paper towel's going in the fire. It's part of my fire starter, or it's part of my process. So, but yeah, put warm to hot water in the hot pot before it gets cold. You don't have the grease problem. Yeah, if it's really messed up and you got to, um, and when you're saying that a good scrubby or steel wool, yeah, the green scrubby pads are good if you've got cast iron or steel. But I found these red scrubby pads that are better for, they don't scratch the finish like on the titanium, but so they're not as hard as the green ones. But if you're not using cast iron, well, anyways, if you use a cast iron or something like that, use a scrubby or whatever if they've got dryers caked on or something like that. Or get a pine cone, get a chunk of tin foil and crumble it up and scrub it. I mean, all those things work. I've scrubbed a pot with a rock before. It works. You could do these things. Um, I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you right quick, but get the hot water in the hot pan. That solves your problem with grease right there. And, when I'm refinishing something, like if I left my cast iron fry pan outdoors while I've been gone for a few months, and then I come back and I've got to get the sand that's embedded out of it, then I will use hot water and a Brillo pad for that. And I will use soap on a cast iron when I'm refinished, when it's been sitting or it's been rusted. I will use soap on it. I don't care what anybody says. And then when I'm done and it's all cleaned off, then I heat it over a fire usually, and then I will oil it. And my favorite way of oiling it is with good old tallow. And I mean, the best way is if you can get the fat chunks from a butcher for free and let them cook down, because all that hours of cooking it down seasons your pan incredibly. And then some of y'all will do bacon, but I don't do pork. So that's that story. Okay. How'd we do? Did we get that one? And yes, I can go through quite a bit of salt. But I don't always use cast iron. Out here, I've got my titanium. There's 3 cast iron fry pans back at the house. What I'm hunting for again, though, is I had a whole set of cowboy fry pans, carbon steel fry pans that I had refinished. And somebody saw them in my rig when I was at a farmer's market, and they talked me out of them for a real good amount of money. And so I'm looking for a little, I don't know, 8, 9 inch uh, cowboy carbon steel fry pan again, because it'll fit in the bag uh, with my Kelly kettle, and then that's even more useful. But yeah, same thing. It's the same thing you do if you have a carbon steel wok. Yeah, they'll rust, absolutely, but they won't rust if you use them every day. And that's, and I don't know if you all know, but woks were made the shape they are because people didn't have enough fuel. And so they're made so that you heat the very bottom of a wok with a very tiny fire, and it'll cook a big amount of stuff. That's what a wok was designed for. And so woks are the bomb. And I have a stainless steel one that I forgot to bring with me. But a wok is a thing of beauty. Yeah. And if you use it as your everyday pot, oh good Lord, you can do all kinds of things in that. It's a one and done pan. All right. I guess I feel like I've talked enough this morning. I'm so glad you all have come to visit with me on Sunday Simply Lives with me, Simply Lesa, like I'm a somebody or something. Um, well, I'm not a nobody. But anyways, I am so grateful for each and every one of you who comes out here or watches videos that from me and other people. I'm so grateful that we're able to share information, and uh, I hope that I benefit the world somehow, because sucks to be alive and not share something with somebody. Anyways, keep it simple. I have to remind myself that all the time. I can't wait to see you either, Candy. You drive safe too, okay, girl? Um, we will see you again next Sunday at 9:30 Arizona time. Adjust that for yourself. And I don't know what we're talking about next week. We'll figure that out in between. Um, remember, travel light and often. It really is healthy for you to get out in the out of doors, be out here in nature, get some sunshine on your body, breathe real air, without the air conditioner. I mean, even I use the air conditioner in the tracker, but it's nice to get real air and, a little bit away from people if you can. Enjoy your week. Pray for each other. Remember, um, let's see, pray special for uh, Candy Cox's dog that got bit by the rattlesnake, and for them to be calm about what's happened and be okay. I can't remember who else needed special prayers this week, but that's y'all. Pray for my mechanic Stan that he doesn't work himself too hard. He's been working a lot of hours lately. I don't know what that's about, but let's pray for that. Jeremy, take care of yourself this week. Everybody, have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week. Ciao.